Mumia's words are always about hope. They're always about moving forward. And one of the things I recognized in reading this book is that he lets us know that hope often comes from those places where we least expect it. And I use the term hope because we have heard a lot about hope over the last couple of years, right? Has it been? Yeah, the last 2 years. And many of us have become a lot more hopeful as a result of the massive mobilizations that happened around the campaign. Of course, we have to point out that just because one black man is elected president doesn't mean that all of the problems fall away. Particularly around issues of racism and poverty, and as we see now, the whole capitalist system is falling apart. But at the same time, I think we have to acknowledge that it is a new day. We're thinking in different terms. There is a new arena of struggle. This is a period when I think we can inhabit our histories differently. And here in the Bay Area, we are reminded of our histories when we look at the San Francisco 8, the police violence that we've lived with in the Bay Area for so long. But we're also reminded that institutions have long memories as well. In a sense, they will not let us forget the history, the Black Panther Party, for example. They think of it in a different way, but we celebrate that history, and we inhabit those histories differently. Mumia has become a symbol for all of us, a symbol of struggle, a symbol of hope. But he's used by the opposition as a way to demonize those who are hopeful about the future. And I was looking at an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer by a journalist who said that the case of Lavelle Mixon reminded him of Mumia. As a matter of fact, he said that unlike Abu-Jamal, Mixon got the justice he deserved, and that the courts probably would have failed to deliver when a SWAT officer shot and killed him in his sister's apartment. How ironic that those murders happened 10 years after Oakland public schools scheduled a teach-in to support Abu-Jamal on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, no less. I mean, you see how he writes as if there were this one black actor responsible for killing all police officers who have ever lost their lives. Now, I've been, doing a lot of work with a number of organizations over the years around prison abolition. And I think we have to keep saying, abolish the prison system, abolish imprisonment as the dominant mode of punishment. Not too long ago, at the end of March, there was a cover story in Parade magazine. You know that magazine that you get in, I know you get it in the San Francisco Chronicle. And it was a story about Jim Webb, who's the congressman from Virginia, who is calling for a set of hearings designed to expose, examine, fix the prison system. As a matter of fact, the cover of the magazine said, "What's wrong with our prisons?" Now, first of all, I think it's good that that's happening. But second of all, what they're envisioning are a set of reforms that will make the prisons better, and thus replicating the whole sordid history of the prison system in this country. So how do we intervene to make this moment productive? Well, one of the things I think we do is we look toward Mumia for the advice he would give us. And he tells us that where there have been changes, major changes in the prison system, those changes have largely come from prisoners themselves. We are not aware of the extent to which the whole field of prison law was produced and created by prisoners themselves. And I think this is important for us, whatever kind of work we do around prison issues, because there is still the tendency to assume that prisoners are the object of our work and not the subject of their own destinies. And I just wanted to read one short passage. Excuse me. And it's about the Ruiz case in Texas. And it's about the abolition of the building tender system in Texas. And he says, the Ruiz case spelled the abolition of the building tender system in Texas and opened the door to the courts for other civil actions. It also opened the door to recreational facilities, better health care. Maybe California should be looking at the Ruiz case right now. Improved sanitation and fire safety requirements. It also opened an antiquated, backward system to the 20th century. The Ruiz class action, which initially earned him a spell in the hole, would eventually force Texas to spend billions of dollars to bring the system into some semblance of modernity. The Ruiz case has come to stand as law over the Texas system for 30 years. And he goes on to explain that in 1905, David Ruiz died of liver cancer at the age of 62 after having spent all but 4 of his adult years behind bars. And these stories are so important to us because they emphasize the extent to which prisoners are involved in the ongoing campaign against the horrible conditions, but eventually also for the abolition of the system. Now, Mumia's book also gives us a sense of how to connect the tortures, the practices of torture in places like Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib and in the secret prisons and the everyday routine practices in U.S. prisons. Now, of course, that we're beginning to find out what really happened, Condoleezza Rice, Dick Cheney, George Bush, and et cetera, we need to widen the net. Because it's not only about those tortures, but it's the practice of tortures associated with domestic prisons as well. So let me say, finally, that it is, if this is a millennial moment, it's time to renew our efforts to free Mumia. We have to free Mumia. And as you know, there are people all over the world. There are people all over this country, not nearly enough people in this country, more people in other countries who are following the case and who are naming streets after him and giving him honorary citizen. You know, he should be an honorary citizen of Oakland. Why can't we make him an honorary citizen of Oakland? Tell that to Rob Dellums. And our immediate goal is, of course, to join with people all over the world who are now desperately trying to prevent the reinstatement of the death penalty. But our final goal is to bring Mumia home. He has spent too many years in those dark chambers of death. We need him now in our world, which is not yet free, but where right now we are attempting to accelerate our strivings to be free. Thank you very much.